Welcome to Storytime with Karen and Kevin. I'm your host, Karen Monroe. Today, we're going to be reading from the subreddit r/AmITheJerk. Before we get started, we have a couple of updates. Kevin and I have gone on a world adventure. You can follow along on our Instagram. The link will be in the description. And we're almost at 300 subscribers on YouTube. When we hit that goal, we will be giving away a $20 Amazon gift card. To enter, just subscribe and leave a comment on one of our videos. And now, on to the stories. Our first story was posted by brunchwithdogs. Am I the jerk for telling our friend that only real moms got invitations to our group's yearly Mother's Day outing? Leela and I have been friends with 5 other women and have been since middle school. Everyone but us has kids. We have fur babies instead. Once our group had kids, we tried to do a Mother's Day lunch with all of us. It didn't really go over that well because those without kids couldn't really participate. Like, what do I know about late night feedings and diapers and first steps or going through the adoption process? So people without kids were just left out and everyone was okay with that. It's been like this for the last 11 years, and now it's turned into their kids and husbands and partners making them brunch together, serving it up. Exchange gifts, stories, and spend the day together like one big family outing. Leela got her pup last year. She is 100% the dog mom. Stickers, shirts, will gift you presents from her dog, signed cards from her dog. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it's cute. She can go overboard. Like the birthday party she threw for her pup last month, and invited our group of our friends and those from doggy daycare. Some of our friends left because a couple of the kids have dog allergies, and she had dogs everywhere, and she didn't include all that info. She was sad they left, so we had to explain to her that she knows some of our friends' kids have these allergies, and she didn't give a heads up she invited people to bring her dog's friends from doggy daycare. So eventually, she let it go. Mother's Day rolls around. She came over and was pretty upset. She wanted to vent. She said she was hurt she was left out of the Mother's Day outing because she's a dog mom, and that counts too. I listened to her for a bit, but when she started to actually get angry with our other friends, I told her they had a point in not inviting us. We could deal with not being invited to 1 or 2 celebrations out of the year. That's for families. She asked if that means I don't think of my cats and dog as a family. I told her I do, but it's not the same. I told her that the outing is for real moms and their kids. Our friends are actually making sacrifices, giving up time, energy, and resources that we don't. I gave the example that for her pup, she got her at 11 weeks when she was already born and weaned. She had help training her at a doggy academy. Free and easy adoption. She has her dog in doggy daycare 5 days a week and anytime she wants to take off. And her groomer does all the bathing and trimming. I told her I'm not trying to take away from the joy of being a dog mom, but just trying to highlight how we aren't the same kind of moms. Leela left after that, and none of us have heard from her. The only one who has talked to her works with her and says she has been making some comments about how she was intentionally left out, and her friends don't take her serious because she doesn't have a crotch goblin. I'm starting to think I may have messed up and should have just been quiet and let her be mad for a bit. Am I the jerk? Edit to add, our mom friends do not just randomly exclude us. The first 2 years of others having kids, we did celebrate together. Those of us without kids, it was more than just she and I at first. Could not talk at length about parenting and families. Going someplace after lunch had to be kid-friendly because the parents wanted to have their kids with them. We wanted to go to a bar or do a day trip. Our friends with kids have always made sure not to gush about their kids all the time. So as a group, we all decided, Leela included, that the Mother's Day lunch would be just for the moms and their kids so they can do all the kid-friendly activities and gush about their kids all they wanted. Back then, Leela would get so bored with them talking about their kids too much or spending too much time and attention on kid pics and not other topics. She still has that same attitude today. Also, unless she's keeping the info to herself, Leela chooses to be child-free, and it's not an issue of being childless. Her marriage did end because her ex eventually changed his mind to wanting kids. She took it pretty hard when she found out he remarried and has kids now, and got her dog Lemon not too long after that. First of all, I hate the term fur babies and dog mom, no offense, but that just irks me the wrong way. Yeah, so already off to a bad start on this story, although the person who wrote it seems pretty nice. Secondly, you are not the jerk. I don't know what's wrong with this person. Like, do you just want to be miserable? Like, if you don't even enjoy going, like, why are you offended to not be invited? I don't understand. Like, I would feel the same way. Like, please have your day where you can, like, talk about your kids and all this stuff that I don't want to know, because I have chosen not that life. You live your life. You got the kids, and I know they take up like all of your time, and so it's cool that you're still getting invited places, like you do other things with them. So yeah, like 1 or 2 days, like it's not gonna ruin a friendship. It sounds like maybe she's just like sad and clearly miserable, and misery loves company. Our next story was posted by protectivemommy G. Am I the jerk for the email I sent to a teacher about her "you have to include everyone" rules, saying that it was a dangerous lesson? My daughter is 12. I'm trying to teach her ways of creating and respecting her boundaries that are age appropriate, teaching her that it's okay to say no to things she feels uncomfortable with. There is a boy in her class who keeps bothering her and her female friends at recess. I've encouraged her to go to me or her teacher when this happens. My daughter told me a few days ago that in class, the teacher had asked the kids to form groups of about 4 or 5. She had formed a group of 5 with some other girls, and then the boy who had been giving her trouble at recess came over and said that he was joining their group. Another girl said that they already had 5, and he should work with a group who only had 2 or 3 people. He said no because the teacher had said about 4 or 5. My daughter then said that they didn't want to work with him and he should find another group. A few of the other girls agreed with her. He said that "you can't exclude me like that, it's against class rules," and she said she didn't care. I heard about this from my daughter first, and the way she talked about it, she had been firm but not unkind. But then I got an email from her teacher saying she wanted to call me. She said there had been an incident at school where my daughter had excluded another child, and that wasn't allowed in her class, and she wanted me to have a talk with her about it. Her telling of events was the same as my daughter's. I felt proud of my daughter for her honesty. I sent her an email saying, "Dear Mrs. Teacher, I'm sorry, but that is not a lesson I feel comfortable teaching my daughter. She's at the age where she is already having to deal with unwanted attention, and I'm making a point to teach her that she does not have to be around anyone who makes her uncomfortable. And also that a young lady is able to choose to spend time with people who make her feel respected. I understand you are already aware that the boy has been behaving in ways that she feels uncomfortable with at recess from our prior conversations. I think it is a very dangerous lesson to teach a girl she has to include and be kind to everyone, instead of teaching her to be aware of when someone is not respecting her no and stepping out of the situation. I hope I don't have to explain in too much detail why I find this important. But to put it briefly, I was brought up with the include everyone mindset, no exceptions. It taught me to ignore my own comfort level, and as I became a young adult, I became the victim of men who use my inability to say no to their advantage. It's a dangerous lesson, and no longer appropriate at that age. Thank you, OP. She emailed me back asking for a meeting in person with the principal. I'm preparing for that, but wondering if my email was too harsh. Am I the jerk for my response to my daughter's teacher? Edit to update. I reached out to the parents of the 4 other girls in the class who were involved, and we all coordinated to go speak with the school administrator together. They all had similar views, thinking it was inappropriate for the school to expect the girls to work with someone who they're not comfortable with, and frustrated the teacher didn't do more to deal with the issues during recess that made the girls uncomfortable to start with. I ended up asking the school if we could reschedule the meeting to a time all the involved families could make, and we ended up meeting this afternoon along with my husband, another couple, 2 mothers, and a father, along with the teacher and the principal. We all presented a united front asking for the following. The school does training for the teachers on trauma-informed teaching methods and the dangers of expecting young women to go against their best judgment of their own boundaries and to be nice. Instead of include everyone, the kids should be allowed to respectfully set boundaries and taught to respect each other's boundaries. The school addresses harassment in class or at recess and doesn't enable it to continue. We went to talk, and I think it went a lot better having all the parents join instead of I'd gone alone. The teacher and principal apologized, and the principal agreed to look for resources on how to better navigate the balance between being inclusive and not forcing kids into including someone who is crossing a line with them. OP, I love you for this, because it's so hard growing up, like, especially as a girl, like, this really does happen. And I mean, I don't know if it happens as much as it did when I was in school, but like, I would be tormented by especially boys all the time. Like, it was just so weird. And, you know, I never really thought too much about it because I was always taught too, like, be nice to everyone. And also, you don't want to be too mean because, you know, they're going to be mean back and no one wants to, like, feel hurt, you know. And so it just kind of feels like no one really cares. And it is a great boundary to set that young because it is so hard to learn to do that later in life, especially. You are definitely not the jerk, and I'm also kind of wondering if this teacher is like an older teacher who also is just like set in their ways, because, you know, I would think like maybe someone who's a little younger that just started teaching or hasn't been teaching long would like know the difference and like definitely want to stop that kind of behavior. Like that boy should have been talked to already and things should have been done. There should be consequences for things like that. So definitely not the jerk. I applaud your efforts. Our last story was posted by Measures 2013. Am I the jerk for going home after I got told to sleep on the floor? I'll preface this by saying that my husband, 33, has a friend, Carl, 33, who he considers to be one of his closest friends. My husband sometimes calls Carl his nicotine because of how much he misses him and wants to spend time with him. They do everything together. They're even co-workers working the same job. Unfortunately, Carl's wife passed away from cancer 3 months ago, which caused him to distance himself. My husband felt devastated for him. He recently started spending more time with him and brought him meals and some new clothes. We planned a 3-day vacation to another state. I made a hotel reservation for 2. Unbeknownst to me, my husband had invited Carl to come with us. This made me upset because it spoiled the entire vacation. Not trying to be dramatic. I only found out when he went to pick him up. I sucked it up after my husband explained that Carl is a recent widower who's been wallowing in grief for so long and he needed this vacation. The problem is, money is tight, and since Carl hasn't worked ever since his wife passed away, he couldn't pay for his own room and we didn't have a budget for it. My husband said we should just share one room, and again, I get sucked in since he said we'd be out all day on the beach anyways. First night, I was in bed when my husband and Carl got back. I got woken up by my husband telling me to get out of bed and sleep on the mattress he put for me on the floor, so he and Carl could take the bed. I asked if he was serious, and he asked what else is he supposed to do. He said Carl is a guest, and we can't let him sleep on the floor, and at the same time, I can't share a bed with Carl while he, my husband, slept on the floor. I told him I did not sign up for this, but he told me to suck it up and tried to pull Carl is a widower card. I told Carl to get out, then got up and got dressed to go home. My husband started yelling at me, calling me irrational, but I wasn't having it. I left the hotel and traveled back home. Carl didn't say anything when he saw me leave, except that I was making this non-issue an issue. They got back, and my husband refused to even talk about it, but still said I ruined this for Carl and for us, and I acted abhorrently and disgustingly. I admit Carl is struggling, and I might have ruined this for him, but I didn't even know he was coming. Okay, absolutely no hate at all, but I think Carl might like dudes, and I think he might like Carl more than just a friend, it sounds like. Or, you know, he's hiding something, first of all. So, yeah, because who would do that? That's just weird. Like, I understand maybe you invite your friend, like, for the day or something, like, if it's close by, but, like, you don't... You don't just be like, hey, you're gonna stay in my room, not tell, like, the wife. Like, that is just bizarre. You're not the jerk. As a matter of fact, I don't know. I might look more into this because this seems a little fishy. That's all for today. Thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. If you like what we do and want to support us, you can become a donor on Anchor FM. You can also follow us on all of our social media accounts. They will all be linked in the description down below. See you next time. Bye.